Hi guys, good afternoon. Excited to go live today with Francine from Metagolden and talk everything NFTs. I know it's like a very confusing and new space, so I know I have so many questions, and I put up a little question box a couple days ago, and a lot of you sent in some really great questions as well. So excited to chat and get some of our questions answered. I think always new spaces are scary, but they're always exciting. And the more you understand them, the more you can kind of navigate and have fun with them. So that's what I'm hoping this conversation will do. So let's get Francine on board with us. Here we go. Cool. So she should be joining us shortly. Hello.
Hi, Rocky. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How's it going?
Good. This is actually my first IG Live, so I'm trying to like jerry rig my phone over here. Yeah, I'm not professional.
Oh, that's perfect. I think that looks great.
Okay.
Welcome to Instagram Live. Oh my God, these are so fun. I always have the best chats during Instagram Live. So,
Well, today I learned a lot. I learned how to upload wearables into Decentraland, and this is even better because I've never done it before. So there's a first for everything.
well, you know what? There's a lot that we can teach each other. I can give you all the ropes on Instagram, and you can give me all the ropes on NFTs
I'm
and how to navigate the space. So, we'll do a little trade-off.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so excited. I know we chatted earlier, and you have first of all, a woman founded business and navigating the NFT space, and being, one of the first to kind of enter the market. This is such a new space for me, and I find it really interesting and exciting, and I'm hoping that this conversation will kind of help other people understand the space and get excited about it and see like the potential and the opportunity that it holds. So I know I have a lot of questions for you. And then I put up a question box a couple days ago when I announced us doing our live, and I got a lot of really interesting questions as well. So yeah, maybe we'll wait just a couple more minutes to let a few more people join, because I know it's only 12:03, and I like to wait till like 12:05 to kind of get everyone kind of on board till we start. So,
I like this. It's looking good.
oh my God, it's like a never take off piece. It's so pretty. Yeah, for those of you joining, this is one of the necklaces from Metagolden that you should explain how the necklaces kind of pair up with. Let's just go ahead and start.
Okay. Because well, I actually never took mine off either. I have the same necklace as we kind of talked about before, but I took it off today because I didn't want to be like copying you. I'm sure you're
I think it would be me copying you, actually.
But it's going on.
Oh,
But also,
Jones just got home, so if you guys hear babies crying in the background.
good. Well, then, like, well, then I can. This baby's been trying to get on the couch like the whole time. His name is Baby, so if he,
Same.
I won't worry about it because we both got babies running around.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He hears
so
me in the office and comes banging on the door screaming. So
that's what makes life so interesting, right?
yeah.
So
Okay, sorry. Back
has,
to the jewelry.
it has a QR code on the back.
Oh
So
wow.
medallion that has our logo on the front. But if you actually scan your phone to it, like if you put your phone up to it now, right now, I bet it would even like scan in. It would take your phone to the art on OpenSea, which is kind of,
Okay.
but I get
So
into
maybe we should back up. Let's go ahead and back up and start from the beginning, because this is the kind of conversation you can't just jump right into.
yeah.
Let's start with some of the first like big questions, right? Like, so what is an NFT? Let's start with that.
It's an acronym for non-fungible token, which essentially means nothing because who in the hell uses words like fungible? Truly. But I like to describe it as just a digital asset. It's a verifiable, certifiable digital asset. And the reason why that's different from just saying digital asset is because in the past, you couldn't own a digital asset. It was very difficult to claim ownership. And so what blockchain did, which is essentially the technology that powers Bitcoin, was allow someone to own a digital asset, i.e. cryptocurrency, but also to transfer it. So that's an incredibly powerful value proposition, if you think about it.
So how would you differentiate NFT from, say, someone seeing it online and saying, oh, it's just a JPEG?
Yeah.
Why can't you use this even if you don't own it? What would you say to someone saying that?
Fundamental question, right? Because everyone's sort of like, why are NFTs so expensive? What's going on? What happened here? And I think to answer that question, you have to go back to what is Bitcoin and how does blockchain technology work? Because once you understand what it is and how it works, you can kind of understand the value in it. And I like to say, like, think of blockchain as like when Bitcoin was the first sort of adoption of blockchain. That's how we developed, not we, but
the community in general. Yeah.
But so in the past, you couldn't send anything of value because the internet by definition is generative. So anything you send can be sent anywhere else at any time. And no one can ever say, like, Rocky, I'm sending this to you and this belongs to only you. So what Bitcoin did was allow us to be able to do that, where, I could actually send you something that's digital, that has value, that I knew that there was a record of you receiving it. And so therefore it solves the problem of double spending. So in other words, like, I can't send it to you and send the same thing to someone else at the same time.
Yeah.
So blockchain technology, in essence, what it does is it's verified by thousands of computers all over the world simultaneously. And so by all of these computers agreeing that this transaction is happening online, that's how it is, the transaction is actually authenticated. So essentially, it's the same for money or digital currency as it is with NFTs. NFTs are just smart contracts. And so what it allows us to do is send a digital asset or anything of value and say, this is owned by this person. It was created on this date. It was, like
transferred to this person and then to this person.
Exactly. And it's immutable. So if all these thousands of computers, or what they're called nodes, not to get too technical, but if they all verified that this transaction happened at once and it's confirmed, then it's what's called a hash. It's a little piece of digital information or code that says, yes, this happened. And they all agree, they concur at the same time. These are miners. And I have questions from your readers asking about, or your viewers asking about, the implications of energy and all of that stuff too. We'll get into that. But essentially, that's what verifies the transaction and makes it secure and makes it immutable and verifies it forevermore in perpetuity. So these little pieces of information are built on top of each other. They only can go forward. They can't go back. So what that allowed us to do was transfer not just currency or numbers, but now also information or images. And digital art is really like a new platform for art because of this, because now it's valuable. Whereas in the past, it was never really valuable, because who's to say, like a JPEG, that it doesn't belong to someone else? Well, now you can actually claim ownership of that JPEG.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the basic.
So is that where the value lies in NFT? So people are able to now capture ownership of an image and hold value to that the same way they would a tangible piece of art.
That's correct. And you can establish what's called a provenance in the art world, which is where it came from, something about the artist who actually created it, and who owned it, and where it was transferred, how much it was sold for. All of those things create value and a marketplace that didn't exist before. And it's interesting because the digital world, art world, didn't exist. It was more like graphic design. Well, now, you can do things with digital art that you cannot do with physical art. And so I think it extends deeper beyond just saying like digital art. it's also like this mindset that's very difficult for us as adults to understand because we were not born in a digital age. And so, I liken it to, like, for instance, you, Rocky, have 2.4 million followers. So you can go out in an outfit in a day and it could be like your hottest look ever. And like maybe two people that see you in LA.
Yeah.
Whereas you can wear it on your Instagram feed and 2.4 million see you. Well,
Yeah.
that digital image is much more valuable than a physical image. And so that mindset of your digital value or things that you value in a digital space is what is powering this whole concept, because we live in a digital world.
Yeah.
I mean, metaverse
What
is
would we do without our phones right now?
exactly right. And
It's
people
a scary thought.
complicated, concept. It's really not. We are all in the metaverse already. It's just, we're in a digital era, and this new form of art is reflective of that value.
So let me ask you another question then, based on that. So why is it a benefit to get involved now and start interacting in the NFT space now versus kind of down the line? Is it going to give you, because it feels like it's already starting to blow up and people are already spending like crazy money on these NFTs. Is there a way for just a normal person to kind of get in on the game, or is it too late for that? Or is there a place to start? Like, how did you get started in the NFT space?
Definitely not too late. I mean, I definitely was one of the very early adopters, and I started my business for the fact that, for this very reason, that question is valid, in that I felt like it was very intimidating. It wasn't easy to enter this space, and I was fascinated with it, but didn't exactly know how or where to go about doing it. And so I just started doing all of my own research and learning as much as I could. And I wanted to create an avenue for women to do the same thing. I started it by investing in a little bit of Ethereum. And at the time, this is about 2 years ago, no one I knew was even talking about Ethereum. And I asked my husband about it, and he was kind of like, no. So I actually sold one of my handbags.
You have to elaborate on this story, because you told me this story and you're like, we have to keep it a secret. But I think you have to share, because it's actually amazing. It's like one of my favorite stories you told.
Well, we have a rule in our family, is like, he doesn't tell me what to spend. He sometimes like pulls the reins back if it's too much, or we have like a number that's like, anything over this number, you have to ask permission. So I asked permission.
Fair. I find that to be fair.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. And so rather than like get in a fight with him over it, it was in the middle of COVID, and I just thought, well, I don't really use, these fancy handbags anymore. I might as well go ahead and try and see if I can, get.
I think that's probably like the smartest investment ever, right? Turning your handbag collection into crypto, Bitcoin. I think that's genius. I feel like that's going to be a new trend. Girls are going to start like carrying, ditching their designer bags for their crypto wallets.
Well, like what we're talking about though, because that's sort of the premise for my whole business, is that I felt like some of the material things that I had been holding on to for a very long time didn't hold the same meaning for me. And once I discovered the crypto space, I was kind of on fire. My brain was on fire. My soul was on fire. I felt like, I could understand the value, and I kept kind of making more money off of these investments. And I wanted other women to have that same experience and feel that autonomy and independence, and really like get on board with this movement that I couldn't believe or comprehend that no one else was paying attention to. So I thought about kind of the best way to go about doing that. And I took the money I made from buying Ethereum, and I started this business tokenizing NFT art with gold jewelry. And that's really where the idea came from, is that the jewelry is kind of a point of entry into the space. Because for me, someone told me, people trying to explain it to me kept talking about, oh yeah, you get a token, or in the crypto world, when you buy cryptocurrency, it's called a token. Like if you own Bitcoin, it's a token. And
Yeah.
like, okay, but where's the physical token? Like I just didn't
Yeah.
get it. And finally it clicked for me. It's like, okay, I want to create a physical token that's representative of the investment. And that's really what you're getting with Metagolden, is a physical token of your NFT investment. And the other thing was, like, when I was looking for NFT art, I could not find anything that was really like pretty or cool or something that I would be proud to own. And so I just went on this deep dive of trying to find cool artists that were doing art that I would be proud to own. And then I started collaborating with those people and like buying those NFTs. And all of my business was formed out of my investments and things that I made money in, or artists that I liked and that I flipped and made money, or that I hold, that I just love. You know, it's really no different from the analog art space, is that, you know, you buy things you love, sometimes you sell it, sometimes you keep it. But the point is that there's value to it. There's real value. And especially if you can attach a piece of jewelry that you can wear every single day that represents that art, that's real value, because what it is kind of a hedge. It's almost like, which investment is better? It's like cryptocurrency and NFTs are very lucrative but very volatile, but gold is a pretty stable standard investment. And I felt good. I mean, I feel better, you know, wearing gold jewelry than carrying a Birkin now, because I know I can give, well, a Birkin's a bad example because, you know,
it holds its value.
Yeah. You know, like you buy a pair,
I know what you mean.
wear them 3 times, you know, and then it's kind of the end of that story. Or you buy, you know, expensive outfit at Christian Dior or whatever. I don't know. It felt very frivolous to me. It felt very like empty. So I wanted to, if I'm going to spend more than $1,000, I want it to be something that I can really hold and appreciate, and that I feel represents a true investment. And so that's what I created. I mean, I don't even know if you would call it a jewelry brand. My brand, Metagolden, doesn't exist right now. Nothing like this exists, because it really is an investment. It's just like, it's invested in something. It's simultaneously NFTs and gold. But then you also get to wear the jewelry. And I don't know if that's immediately obvious what we do or how that works, but I can explain that later if you want.
Explain it now. Let's explain it now, because I feel like Metagolden is actually a really great kind of entry point for people new to the space, right? Like there's so many different ways to get into NFTs, similar to how the traditional art world is, right? You can go to different galleries and see different like curated styles based on artists and whatnot, but you kind of have your own entry point with Metagolden, correct?
Yeah, we do. And a lot of people don't understand, because the term phygital is so new. And phygital means physical and digital. And that's actually a definition of what we're doing in the space, but it didn't exist when we started the company. So how this works, that we actually partner with artists who we feel their work represents true value. And then we give them a 3D image of the jewelry, and we let them work with it and mold it and shape it however they want to express themselves in the art. They just have to interpret it somehow using that piece of jewelry, so that the jewelry is somewhere, somehow represented in the art. So you get the, in the end, is the digital art. But that piece of jewelry is hidden somewhere in the art. And you then get the physical piece of jewelry also. So you're getting both. And then what you do, how you display it in your home, is you get a little lucite cube. I'm actually in my home. I'm going to grab it really quickly.
I was going to say I could grab mine, but then Jones will see me and then it'll all be over and I'll never get back to our conversation.
This is how you would display it in your home, just like on your bar, or like, you know, on a little coffee table or something.
Yeah.
And when you scan the QR code, this is our little logo, it takes you to your art on OpenSea, which is a blockchain and NFT art platform, the biggest. And so people can like view your art, and they can see your jewelry, and at the same time you're wearing it, and you can show them like, oh, this is my ring. And then you look and you see, oh, that ring is actually featured in the art. And some of it's like really esoteric and some of it is very literal. Like for this ring, this is the first piece I designed. It's really super simple. But it's digital art, and they're images of this ring actually morphing and changing shape like multiple times. So it's just really cool. They're interesting, kind of fluid,
Kind of like an underwater
yeah.
ring.
Oh yeah, yours. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's very cool. So, do you have to have a crypto wallet in order to buy NFT, or what are the ways you can buy these?
Yes. So yes, you do. We again like wanted to make it very simple for our people to jump in the space, and we're happy to onboard people at any time. Like teach people how to do that because you're in LA. You can actually do it really easily, and you can download MetaMask, which is an app. Which MetaMask is the one that's the most user friendly with Google, so that's the one I would recommend using. And you can actually buy crypto. I would buy ETH unless you just want to have Bitcoin. But Bitcoin really only functions as currency, whereas ETH is more transactional with NFTs or anything else. So that's what to transact. And that's how we pay a lot of our vendors.
I should have Matt here because he's the crypto expert in our household. I'm like, oh, the jewelry is really pretty. I'm into this and this and this, and he takes care of all the business side of that stuff. But
you're not alone in that at all. I mean, for my whole life, I felt like that since I got married. I kind of let my husband like take most of the financial. I always worked. I always had a job and took care of all of that stuff myself. But then when I got married, I was kind of like, you can have this. Or rather.
Well, that's part of the reason that I found this to be so interesting too, is that, I've heard Matt and his friends talking about this, a bunch of our friends that are like in finance in New York and LA, always chatting about it. A lot of friends who are in crypto as well. And I keep hearing about it. And it's like, you want to know what's going on. It just feels like you're doing yourself a disservice not knowing what this new space is. It's like kind of isolates you from so many different opportunities, I feel like, these days.
Well, you are, and it's so big. But before I answer that, and I think you're right about that, I wanted to just say that that's the one differentiator between our brand and others is that you can buy an NFT with a credit card. So if you purchase something on our website, you can actually purchase the jewelry and the art together with a credit card. And then how it works is that the NFT, what we send you, this would point to the art on the blockchain. But as soon as you open a MetaMask, we transfer it. But until that point, so if you don't have crypto and you don't have a crypto wallet, you would actually it's like a virtual vault that we store your art in until you have a wallet.
Oh, that's cool. Right. So you don't have to wait. It's like you can buy it now and then have it transfer later on, which is very cool too, because they're one of a kind, right?
Exactly. And why I think it's so important to get into this space is because it's so transformational in terms of how our lives are about to change, and people don't even realize it. And there's a reason people are talking about it. It's not just because other people are making money. It's about living in a virtual world. And the reason Facebook changed their name to Meta is because, the best way to kind of describe it is like Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. Web 1 was like when we first got the internet. And probably a lot of your followers they weren't even born yet. But there was a day when the internet did not exist.
Yeah.
Okay. The internet came into play and that was great. We could send emails and that's all we could do. Web 2 is when it kind of converted into where you could transact online. So, you could buy things. You could use your credit card. We had social media.
Email. I guess email was kind of super fun.
Now, there's Facebook and Instagram and all of these things. And so it became more two-dimensional. Well, Web 3 is actually virtual reality. It's actually three-dimensional. And I like to think of it as like, it's the internet behind the internet, or the metaverse literally meta means beyond. And that's how we came up with the name for our name. Our name was funny story. Our name was actually Meta before.
No. We're quick enough to that trademark, huh?
But we did get our trademark somehow. I mean, like.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but
we were on the right track, obviously.
Yeah, it means beyond, and And the reason that it's means beyond, or that the relation is kind of like, you know, we are about to enter into like a Web3 world where your whole existence is three-dimensional. So in other words, like with blockchain technology, like when you go online, like you would now, you have to sign in, create an account. It doesn't exist. You have your wallet, and every site you go to automatically recognizes you. And it sounds totally cuckoo right now, but there will come a day in the near distant future where you just walk into the store with your avatar, and like, you know, you're getting outfitted head to toe. You're wearing all of your digital fashion. You have art on your walls in your, you know, in Decentraland. You know, right now, I'm actually, right after this call, going to be speaking on a panel with a woman who started a company called DressX, which is digital fashion.
Oh, wow.
And
maybe I should join that.
Yeah. And it's for Metaversal Fashion Week in Decentraland. Decentraland is like the biggest metaverse where like nerds like me just cruise around with our avatars, and like, you know, there's like a Christie's auction house there. Like you can look at art on the walls. There's
oh, wow.
art galleries there. There are retail stores. It's like a whole world that exists that mirrors our world. It's so wild.
So how do you decide what pieces are valuable and what pieces are good investments? Kind of similar to how the art world functions now?
It's not similar at all. I mean, it's similar in from the standpoint that art is subjective, and I think I buy art by what, as you can see in the background, by what I like and what appeals to my aesthetic.
Same.
But it's different from the standpoint of value, or valuation, I should say, because it's very difficult to predict which art will appreciate. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, in the NFT world, it's more indicative of how valuable a collection will be by who's behind the project, really, and what else they have done in the space.
Well,
and
in that sense, it is similar to the art world, right? You know,
yeah,
what I mean? I
correct.
feel like there's you know, the like top tier artists who go out and search for new artists, but it's like, you know, if someone kind of vouches for you and puts you
That's true.
in the space, you know what I mean?
It's true, because the creator is not usually, unless it's like Damien Hirst, like his stuff went bananas. But like, you know, creators in the NFT space are not, the ones who are successful are not necessarily analog artists or people with big resumes or backgrounds. You know, like CryptoPunks is a perfect example. It's one of the most expensive NFTs. And the reason it blew up was because they were one of the first in the space. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I hear them. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Like it could have been anyone. It could have been anything. It just happened to be that a lot of people went there. So it's almost like, in a sense, it's like crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
It appeals to the most people.
Interesting.
That's what makes it important.
Like a democracy.
Yes, it is. And that is the whole concept of crypto. Like people who are in the space are like super community focused. I mean, that's what makes big projects go, is the community around them. And like how many people are supporting a certain thing.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that's interesting, because I feel like in the art world right now, there's like, just based on and I'm not an expert by any means in the traditional art world, but like, you know, there's the high buyers who, if someone buys this artist, all of a sudden puts them on the map and they become relevant. And there's like this small circle of top tier people who kind of dictate what's cool and what's not in the art world. Whereas it sounds like this is the opposite, where it's like literally, you know, more hypey, in the sense like where you get everyone, you know, hyped up on a new artist, and then that brings them to the top, as opposed to someone on top kind of pulling them up.
It's bottom up. You're exactly right. It's bottom up, top down. And it kind of mirrors the influencer trend. If you think about it, as you were talking, it was occurring to me, because you are, which by the way, can we just talk about how your girlfriends, your baby shower looked like a supermodel convention. I don't even know. I didn't know there were girls that pretty in the world. All at your baby.
It's supposed to be a casual shower sprinkle, but yeah, I don't think my girlfriend Britt knows how to do casual. I felt very spoiled for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, you have a very, very chic group of friends, but you know, very much very similar to like you and your friends, like, you know, you have this insane following and people follow you because they like your style, they think you're cool. It's not necessarily like, you know, a Vogue magazine where like they're just already have this stamp of approval. It's kind of like you just amassed a following from your personality and the way you put
Totally.
together. And, you know, a lot of people just thought it was cool. So
Yeah.
that's very similar to the NFT art world and, you know, how kind of things become valuable. And so if I had any advice to someone looking at investing, I would say just buy something you like. First of all, you know, you're in California. There are different restrictions around crypto um, in different states, but
Wow,
there are restrictions there as there are here in Texas.
yeah. Typical. I lost you for a minute. Yeah, I can see now. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Um,
I was saying,
anyway, so,
well, there's more restrictions in California than Texas.
well,
Kind of about everything.
usually, when it comes to real estate and a lot of other things, yes, you know, vegan food and all of that kind of thing. But you know, you can actually just purchase crypto from your wallet, which is crazy. We have to open a crypto bank account here, and they like verify you through your bank, and it's like a very tedious process. You guys can actually purchase crypto like straight out of your.
It's easier.
So I would say get a MetaMask, download. It's a little Fox. It's an app, and you can get it on the App Store, and then just play around with it. And so there's two ways you can do it through PayPal, or if you have a Visa debit, you can go ahead and just purchase crypto straight from there, and just buy like a little small amount, and then
Yeah.
see and shop around. Look at the Metagolden space. Look at
What's the range of, because I'm sure like a normal art world, there's a range, right? So like what's like an entry point piece for and versus like what are the top pieces going for? Just out of curiosity.
well, the top pieces are like Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, and the value there is really just being first. It's like a social flex now of having.
Yeah.
There's a trend called PFPs. I'm sure you've probably heard of that. Like your PFPs are your profile pictures.
Uh-huh.
So essentially, you want to buy the most recognizable PFP and then put it on. I personally have never really gotten into that because I don't want to put a picture of a monkey of any sort to represent my face. You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah, but you know, I'm sure the right someone just said I'm an ape.
yeah. But there are a lot of
Someone also just asked, yeah, someone said my PFP is an ape. See, the art world is you know, it's whatever floats your boat. It's different for everyone.
that actually is representative of something else that I find not very appealing about this space, which is that it's male dominated, because no woman would ever want that or put value there. If you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah. Question to the person with the monkey PFP. Are you a male or a female? Curious. I apparently we'd be shocked if you are a female, but we're curious. Let us know.
Gwyneth Paltrow has one. So listen,
She has a monkey?
she has a Bored Ape, yeah. So there's, and they make them now like with female monkey faces.
Okay, yeah.
Point being is that the original collection was not meant to appeal to women.
Male. He said male.
Yeah, fake. But now there's so many women in the space, but yet those collections still hold the most value. What I want to do is create value around different collections, real artists, real digital artists in the space, and not PFPs, and connect that to something that we really find valuable, which is jewelry. Like, yeah, thing is jewelry. So, you know, I hope that the industry will evolve past PFPs. I think we kind of have already, but to a different place where you can purchase something that's valuable, and it's valuable not because it was the first or because, you know, something else. I mean, those collections will always have value. It's sort of like one of the like purchasing something from one of the masters, because it represents a time and space. And
even if the art isn't relevant in the future, it's like a period piece representation.
That's exactly right. But I think like right now is such an interesting time because anything, like you asked, is it too late? No, I think that brands like mine are literally paving the way for a future, like a different looking future. And I think a lot of brands are actually reinventing the art space and reinventing the music space and reinventing the fashion space. This is
Do
a
you do you find this to be kind of the same movement that social media played? Like, for
yes,
example, when I was in the modeling world, I was so reliant on my agents, and I was, sitting by the phone waiting for them to call me. I couldn't ever contact clients, and your entire career is based on your agents telling you what to do. And
yeah,
then when social media started, and Instagram specifically, you kind of took that power back, and you're now able to communicate. People are able to find you, and you no longer need this middleman. Is that what you're kind of seeing happening in the art world?
that's exactly right. That's exactly.
Amazing. Yeah. I'm all for that, obviously.
That's that's what they call the creator economy, and this is the artist's moment because they're taking their power back. And it's not only about not needing a middleman, it's also about what blockchain technology allows you to do, which is to create royalties for yourself, so you know who bought your art and you get a commission off it when it sells, and not just once but every single time it sells.
Oh, wow.
That artist gets commission on their creation or their art forever, in perpetuity, on the blockchain.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
very powerful if you think about that, because whether it's in music or art or fashion, anything, like, fashion is generative. If you think about the potential in that space, I mean, truly,
Yeah,
like,
everything's been done and is being redone. So I guess,
you attach a 5% royalty to every piece you ever buy, and every time it changes hands, you get a commission from that. These brands are going to kill it. Like,
yeah.
they're going to murder the space. I mean, that's why brands like Gucci and Fendi are really running to market with this.
Yeah, especially if people are spending more of their time in the metaverse than they are in real life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So interesting, so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the, someone had a question. Um, what is the stability in the market right now? Is it kind of fluctuating in side by side to how crypto is, or is it showing some sort of long-term stability, or is it kind of just completely volatile, or are there parts that are more volatile than others?
It's like anything. And if I was a commentator on MSNBC or whatever, like, no one can ever tell the future. But
Yeah.
after having been in the space for a while, it is volatile. But I think ultimately, long term, I think Ethereum in particular has a lot of value. And we've seen it kind of correct itself, like, in terms of, like, it used to be the valuation to go in tandem with Bitcoin. And really, if Bitcoin would go up, Ethereum would go up. When it went down, Ethereum would go down. Ethereum now kind of runs its own pace, and I think that's because they're slightly different value propositions. Bitcoin is a currency, and that can always be regulated, and will always be, looked at very, very cautiously. Like Joe Biden right now is trying to figure out. I just read a news story before I came on here that he's trying to figure out how to regulate that, and ultimately, any one hegemonic power could take control of their digital currency. I believe it's inevitable that we will have a digital currency. I don't know I don't even want to predict what it will be. Ethereum, NFTs, and the value that you sort of attach to an NFT is with a contract. It's a smart contract. And so we live in a digital era. And because we live in a digital era, we want digital assurances. And this is a way to attach value and to authenticate anything of value. And for that reason, that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
If it falters short term, I think ultimately long term, Ethereum is not going anywhere.
So another question, do you think it's like a space that anyone could get into, even if they're not, let's say, a even not an investor, but on the creating collection side? Is this like a more approachable space for someone who might not be like a traditional artist?
100%. And I think that that's a lot of the allure of it, frankly. I know so many people, I have met so many people over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years, who literally came out of nowhere. They were a bartender or a DJ or, whatever else, but they have this little kind of creative Flickr and explored that on the blockchain and really kind of like learned it and taught themselves, because there's no YouTube video, there's no course you can take in college. It's such a new space that anyone can do it, and it's not difficult.
It
Like,
sounds like the influencer space so much.
it really is. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
I think it's intimidating when people think about, you know, like how blockchain technology works. But,
Yeah.
you know, I think every single day, platforms like OpenSea are making it, or Maker's Place or Nifty Kit, or, you know, there's so many of them now that are making it so easy for the creator. I mean, I remember the first time I went on and I had no idea. I mean, you are going to make a lot of mistakes and you're going to spend some money just trying to figure it out, but
A learning process.
it's a process, but you can teach yourself. And I would recommend for everyone to try and learn a little bit about it, educate yourself, at least in terms of like what cryptocurrency is, how it works, get a crypto wallet. It's super simple. I would even be happy to come back on at a different time and like
Yeah.
we can literally
I
with
feel like this was so helpful though. I feel like this was really something that we kind of all needed. I know I needed it, just kind of like use it. It's such a intimidating space for someone who's not familiar. So I feel like the more you talk about something like this and the more um, opinions and insight you get into it, the less scary it becomes. And it sounds like well, now Matt and I have our first NFT, but I'm excited to kind of like explore the space more.
I'm so excited for you to explore it, and that is the greatest joy and the greatest thing about my business. Like it's so like I got so excited today from just seeing my wearables in Decentraland, and like I'm mesmerized by this space because it's something that we've never experienced. We've never, you know, in our lifetime, nothing like this has ever happened, and
Yeah.
people don't realize how huge it is. And
Yeah.
it's not that difficult to get in. You just have to commit to learning a little bit, and then going on some of these platforms. Just play around with it. Like go on Decentraland, like get a crypto wallet, get a MetaMask, and then connect on a Decentraland, and that will like blow your mind when you're like walking around and you have your own avatar and it's user friendly.
I
Um,
feel like Jones is gonna only live in the metaverse, and it kind of scares me a little bit. I'm like, my son is gonna grow up in this space that I like know nothing about. It's almost like another reason I want to kind of get into it because like I want to know this world that I'm gonna be part of, and like exactly to what you're saying too. My husband Matt was at Basel and he was at a nightclub at some like event after party and with one of his friends and he was wearing his VR mask in the club. And Matt was so confused. He was like, "What are you doing? You're in the club right now. Like, let's enjoy the moment." And the guy was like, "It's so cool in here, man. Like, you should come hang out." It's like, people have the most fun at these Basel events. Like Basel is one of my favorite times a year. Matt and I have been going for years now, and we just have so much fun
yeah,
and love everything about it. But like the fact that this guy would rather be in a VR mask instead of at Basel in the club, I'm like, okay, this is as good as it gets. And you're telling me you're having more fun doing that. So if that says anything about the
yeah.
metaverse, maybe we need to check it out.
Have you ever like gotten on and tried the Oculus?
No, I keep seeing I know. I need to get more involved. This
Oh,
conversation has definitely inspired me.
no, my 8-year-old, she just turned 8. She codes and she's like super into it. She's only in these things called Roblox or virtual life, like it's like called like I don't know. She has like her own little pet stingray that she rides in her world. She has a house that she built. She designed it. She picked each of her furniture. Like she loves it. She's obsessed with it. And
Talk about a real like live imagination.
oh, well, no, they all do it, and they talk to each other. Your avatar talks to each other. I mean, without getting too crazy, it's a frictionless economy. So like I can like be talking to you in the metaverse. My brother lives in Brazil, and we go to like art exhibitions together. His avatar and mine, like in the metaverse.
That's crazy.
It's,
Okay, Matt and I need to get on it.
yeah, try the Oculus. You'll be blown away. It's
I've seen a bunch of my friends, and I have some friends who are already like been doing it forever. Like my girlfriend Jocelyn's like super into all this stuff, and it's like I used to kind of be like, oh, whatever, I'm having fun in the real world. But, you know, this conversation is kind of making me think I need to check this metaverse out and do more into it. So it's like, yeah, I feel like that's the one thing that I always told myself too. It's like, I don't ever want to age to the point where I'm just not accepting of new technology. And I feel like that's where you're like growing and curiosity kind of shuts down, and that's where you stop growing as a person. So like getting involved in this kind of stuff, I feel like is what keeps you,
Yeah.
I guess people would say keep you young, but it keeps you, you know, in the mix, and it keeps you excited about life. And instead of hating it because you don't know what it is, you know, instead you can change that perspective and be excited about something new.
It's really true. And so many people that I talk to, the thing that like totally continuously surprises, amazes, and excites me is that, you know, my husband's friends call me to learn about it. And my friends who I've all converted, who all wear this jewelry now and are like so proud of their NFTs and their crypto investments, are like literally the mavens in these dominating the men.
I'm all about always flipping an industry that starts as all male and turning it into a
Yeah, because it's
female
not
industry. I'm always about that too.
about who is invested and who wants to learn it. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes women have an easier time wrapping their head around this because it's a little bit abstract. Whereas men are like, oh no, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to learn it. It's something new. Whereas women are like, oh, that's cool. I want
Yeah.
to learn that. But it's just fun, you know, it's just fun. At the end of the day, it will change all of our lives. So you're better to be on the front end than the back of it.
Yeah,
Um,
for
Looking
sure.
back in a year, Rocky, and be like, oh my God, those are the early days. That's so funny. But,
It'll be so crazy to look back on this conversation.
yeah.
I can't even imagine. But okay, so well, I think we're almost out of time. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But if you guys, for everyone watching and viewing, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to send them to me. If we get a ton, maybe we will do another one of these, because I found it to be it's extremely inspiring, and you're blowing my mind in the metaverse NFT space. So, and everyone watching, go check out Metagolden and check out all the amazing art and jewelry and what she's doing, what Francine is doing in this space in her own way. It's so cool. It's very inspiring.
Thank you, Sudie.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I hope you guys enjoyed this and learned something from it. It's such an interesting space.
Thanks, Rocky.
All right. Bye, guys.